Hey guys, welcome back to Baldur's Gate. I'm Mediocre Gamerman, and today we're going to be talking about quality of life tips in Baldur's Gate 3. So, today's video, of course, is going to start off with something very simple, okay? One of the biggest issues in this game is your inventory management. There's a couple of different tips I'm going to give you that's going to help you with inventory management. And the first of those is tab. If you're on a PC, the tab button is one of the most important things you can learn just outright with inventory control. So you're going to hit tab, it's going to bring up all of your people. But that's not all this can do. So you can switch, of course you can switch stuff back and forth between your party members. It has, that simple feature, but this is out of combat. In combat, you can do other things. Switch over to one of your characters while you're in combat. Let's say he doesn't have any potions in his inventory, but you need to heal in the middle of battle and you don't have any spell slots or have any healing coming up that's quick enough. You need him to heal. Well, you see, I'm selected this one right here. I can go on over here, select this potion of healing, drink, and I can drink that. As long as they're close enough, you can use anyone's inventory from this screen, which means you no longer need to make sure every party member has potions in their inventory. It means you no longer have to worry about where that potion of speed is, where that potion of flying is. You no longer have to worry about which one's carrying this or which one's carrying that. What you can also do, you can cast spells from other people's inventory, which means you no longer need to worry, oh, this spell is really going to work, but the problem is this guy doesn't have it. It's not going to matter. In the middle of battle, you've got an enemy on a precipice. You're going to want to knock him off. The fall damage is going to do enough to kill him, or at least knock him out, right? Well, I've got Gust of Wind on this. I got Thunder Wave on this character. I've got, just any hold person, any number of things. But it's not sitting on the character that's directly moving right now. I've got 3 more enemies to go before then. I'm not going to have another chance to use this. Doesn't matter. Switch on over here. Cast a spell from tab. Tab is a lifesaver, but it does more than that. So let's say you're outside of combat and you need to switch around your inventory. You got a whole bunch of stuff kind of just sitting around. You can switch it all from here. You can right click on it, switch it around. But you can also take something like this, bring it over here, and equip it on a different character. And it goes to that person's inventory, of course, but you can switch back and forth. This gives you the ability to instantly work the entirety of your inventory across all characters without having to go individually into each one. It's such a time saver because you're going to hit this and you're going to go, okay, well, he's got all this stuff. Let's switch over to Shadowheart.
Let's get on with it.
Okay, she's got all of this stuff. That's not what I'm looking for. Let's switch over to here. That's not what I'm looking for. Switch over to here. Now, you just hit tab. You got all of them. You can see everybody's AC. You can see everybody's equipment. You can double check to make sure, just any of the little things like, oh, okay, potions of speeds across here. You can look at all of their weights across the bottom. So you see a whole bunch of weight here sitting on my thief. I don't need that much weight sitting on my thief. Let's find out why. Oh, because he's got a ton of weight sitting in his camp supply pack. Well, let's fix that. You can do all of that from this screen. You can open up your inventory items, move all the stuff to camp. It makes life so much simpler working from this screen. So that's tip number 1. Probably a little bit overwhelming or a little bit over explained, but it is what it is. Tip number 2, guys. Okay, so tip number 2, simple. Right on the screen, we kind of just dealt with it a little bit. See all of this? I mean, this is just overwhelming, right? All of these different packs, all of these different items across all of these characters. It bugs. I mean, you can't find anything, right? Well, there's a simpler way to deal with this. So first and foremost, you can find packs just sitting around everywhere. Backpacks, pouches. They're on the ground. Pick them up, right? What can you do with them, though? You can do a whole lot of things. Let's say you want one pack, because now you can just go to this screen and cast anything, right? Well, we've got all these spells across all these characters. Well, let's put them all in one pack. Give me a second, I'll be right back. Now, look there. I put all 22 of the items, the spells that were in my main character, in her inventory. I put them into Shadowheart's patched together sack. Now this huge space, show all. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Click here, type. It's going to rearrange everybody's inventory. Suddenly everything's much more manageable. I like to take and put all my spell scrolls in packs, and I'd like to take a lot of these potions and elixirs and stuff and put them in a different pack, and it just clears up this inventory so much. You can also see how much all of them weigh, because it's really hard to get a feel for how much everything weighs. Because I've got 68 pounds here in what? Well, most of it's potions. It's amazing to think that 22 spell scrolls weighs 1.78 pounds. Imagine once I put all of these in there, how much that's going to weigh. It's only going to be 5 pounds, but still, that's 5 pounds that you're not thinking of because it's in paper. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3, we're going to stay on this screen. We're not really doing anything crazy. Control. No, I'm not talking about CC. I'm talking about the control key on your keyboard, okay? Hold down control and you can select multiple items, just like you can in any lists online or just in general when you're picking anything on a computer. Generally, control lets you select multiple items, right? Well, as you see, I have selected all of these. I can click and send all of them to camp all at once. It'll send all of them. Or, if I select them all, like this, I can move all of them all at once across and into there. See how quick and easy that was? Hit control, select them. But if you click over, you're going to lose that. So it all has to be in one inventory. So select all of those, move them all over. Whoop. I got to actually put them in the right place. There we go. Select all of these. Move them all over. And that's all there is to it. Control. You can also do this in inventory. So if you go to like a crate, oh, let me find one that's got something in it. Okay, so I couldn't find one really quick, so I just kind of made one. You see I've got all these items, right? And it's in this. I went and, selected this wooden chest. There's a whole bunch of items. Oh, a bunch of loot. Well, one of my characters doesn't need all of these things. I don't need an elixir of the Colossus on a character that doesn't melee. Well, you can send it to anybody you want from here. Or you can send it to camp, or you can pick it up. You can also select multiple items and send them all to one person. And then select other ones. Instead of take all, you can actually control where they go from this screen with control, which is really useful. So that's tip number 3. Okay, tip number 4. This one's kind of just a useful tip a lot of people don't think about, and that's the ritual spells. There's a few of them in the game. There's things like Long Strider, there's Disguise Self, but there's, Featherfall, Jump, spells like that are ritual spells if cast by a ritual caster. Which in this game is any caster, right? So what you can do is you always make sure you have 1 or 2 characters. I have a person in my camp that I can switch out with this one, and I don't use those as often, but these 2 in particular, Long Strider and Disguise Self, especially for your party's face. This is my bard character. So Disguise Self is a ritual cast. You can use it to switch him or switch them into a smaller race. If they're a smaller race, into a bigger race. You can use it to change and can talk to people who you've killed. Like if you use, speak with dead. I mean, you've seen these tips everywhere. But these spells need to be on at least one of your casters, especially Long Strider and Disguise Self. And the reason for that is Long Strider. Oh, you won't need that. I'll need it to be cast on 4. So you switch. You do this on all 4. It lasts until a long rest. It doesn't require concentration. It increases their movement speed by 3 meters, which is huge. And it does that for the entire day until you long rest, which means when you're in battle, you get extra movement. I mean, movement is so key in this game for traversing things. There's no reason not to have it. It doesn't help in overworld travel, but that doesn't matter. In battle, you're going to have it all the time, and it's going to be very, very useful all the time. Disguise Self is, of course, situationally useful. Featherfall is even more situationally useful, but it's really good to have if you have it. I have it on a scroll. I also have, some items that can cast it. The same goes with Jump. It's good to have if you have a caster that can use it, just to have it around, especially like on a wizard or something, so you can switch out spells because you don't have to wait till a long rest to do it. Always keep it around. Okay, so tip number 5: stealing. The game isn't as nice to you about stealing as you would think. Um, for one, if you steal things, people seem to just suddenly suspect you, and I'm not entirely sure why. But if you go up to somebody and you decide to steal, and let's go on ahead and steal from this guy real quick. We'll just pick a couple of things here at random. Okay, so we steal. And then we stand up. He may notice it here in a minute. It takes a minute. Now watch. There's no way he could have known it was you, right? But see, he immediately comes running to you.
Here. You might want to allay some suspicion.
And if that happens twice,
get out of hand.
They're going to be a combat, and it starts this whole war thing, and it's just terrible. So, let's talk about ways to alleviate that. Okay, tip number 5: pickpocketing and how to get away with it. Right. So there's a couple of different things that's happened since patches, so I actually had to check because the way that I used to do it is no longer valid. But there is a way to get away with it, and it's honestly super easy, just a little bit more time consuming. So first and foremost, we're going to talk about separating your party. So this button right here is the toggle group mode. I left my entire party all the way back here at the Emerald Road Environs. Not to show too many spoilers, but... And from there, I ran all the way up here to the Merchant Aaron by myself, right? So now I'm going to sneak.
Any attention right now.
And we're going to run up behind him. And I'm just going to pickpocket a few items from him. A few things we need. And then I'm going to sneak away. Make sure you sneak far enough away. Yeah, see, he says, pickpocket. And we're going to sneak right around here, around the corner, because he's not going to go very far. And then we're going to watch him. He's going to walk around, try to find me. But, see, he doesn't go very far. And, I mean, honestly, you could probably go farther, but my hiding is successful. If I was really worried about it, I could use Umbral Shroud and disappear. You can just go farther away, right? It's not like it's a huge deal. But after a while, he'll say, gotta be more evidence. They all have different lines. But once they go back to their original pose. You see he's back in his original, contemplating pose. You can, drop hiding.
On my feet.
Invisibility, let the invisibility wear off. And then we can talk to him.
It'll take a while for us to recover. Of course.
No problem. Now he's got his inventory. And he has no problem with us, so we're perfectly fine. Now, of course, and you can see all the stuff I've sold to him over time, but he's missing the items that we bought from him, right? So, he remanaged. Now, with that in mind, that's an easy way to get away with stealing from people. Now, you can steal from him, of course, and run away.
Be cautious.
So, like I do this and take that, and then, I could come out of hiding and then run. But that takes the risk of him turning at that moment and realizing what happened. So, but yeah, you can just run away all the way up here and let him do his thing. Someone's been in my pockets. Let me go find out what's going on. And then he'll, once he finally calms down and goes back to his, pensive pose, you're perfectly fine to go back. You can talk to him, interact. Now, the real question is, can you sell him back his items? So, that's what we're getting ready to do next. So, yeah. See? Goes back to his pensive pose. Now we're going to go down here and buy... We're gonna take something from him that we can sell to him. Okay? So, where's his... Oh, there they are. This is going to be an 8. Yes, got away with it. Okay.
On my way.
All right. So he's back. So let's unhide. And what we stole from him was a blazer of benevolence. Okay. So go back in. Let's talk to him.
For us all to
You want to trade? So, blazer of benevolence. Sold it to him just fine.
May you keep.
So, luckily they haven't patched that yet. The merchants are not smart enough to realize, you know, that we're literally selling them back their own items. So, it makes life a lot easier. So, but that's tip number 5, how to steal and get away with it. Honestly, it took me a while to figure it out when I first started playing. I think there's some tips out there as to what to do, but this is all in one place. Okay, so tip number 6, restocking merchants. So, you know, one of the biggest issues is this monetary thing here. Merchants don't have enough money to sell a lot, so you've got to end up like bartering back and forth. It's really aggravating. So let's talk about that. So let's work the merchant down to nothing. I'm not really worried about all this stuff. We'll just, you know, sell it for the sake of selling it and get all of his money gone. As you see, he's got 3 gold left, right? So now
May you keep.
he has no money left for us to sell to him. So the easiest way to fix that is to do a long rest. So we've got a long rest right here. Let's go talk to him.
It'll take a while.
Let's see what he's got to trade. And now he's got all of his gold back. He's even got items back. I don't think he replenishes items that you've bought. Like, if you were to buy some of the items from him, I don't think he replenishes all of the items, just some of them. But yeah, because these are, you know, these are uncommon items. I think if you buy them, he won't have them anymore. I haven't tested that. But yeah, so that's a way to get all that gold back. So long resting. Honestly, before I long rest, I usually go back to a merchant. I sell a whole bunch of stuff, get gold, and then I long rest. And then that way, I've always got money. And money's real easy to come by. Like, I don't even worry about it once I get to this point. Like, I'm only level 5, and I've already got thousands. Like, I'm not super worried. But that's how you kind of get them to restock, especially getting restock on things like potions, spell scrolls, any of the alchemy ingredients, because once you picked them up in the world, I haven't seen any of them come back. Tell me if I'm wrong down in the comments, but I've never had them come back for me. So usually because I've moved on to the next act at that point, but if I'm wrong, let me know. Anyway, that's tip number 6. Okay, so quality of life tip number 7. We're going to start working on combat stuff now. There's one non-combat at the very end, but that's a whole different thing. So, first and foremost, when you're using certain classes, certain abilities, there are passive abilities. Things like Repelling Blast, the aura you get from a paladin, certain weapons glow, and things of that nature. You've also got toggle and untoggle deadly attacks. So, one thing that you can do that a lot of people don't realize is you can turn these things on and off. So, for instance, Repelling Blast. You can toggle that on and off. The way you do that is you go to your inventory, go to the spell book, and then I got spells that I don't have equipped. That's funny. You go to wherever that passive is. If it's a paladin aura, it's going to be under paladin. If it's under warlock, like, you know, Repelling Blast is going to be under here. And you see passives, you can drag it down and put it on your bar, and you'll be able to toggle it on and off from your bar. So toggle off, toggle on, it circles. Really, really useful for when you don't want to knock that one enemy that's got the really good loot off of a cliff. Or that one time where someone's in a cloud of daggers, you just want to leave them there. Or someone's in fog and you want to leave them there and you don't want to blast them out. A really good way to do that is by toggling that on and off. But you can also toggle other things. So, like for instance, you see how she's got a weapon on her back? You can toggle that glow on and off. So sheds holy light, the whole thing. You can toggle it on and off. Now, it still looks like it's glowing, but as you can see, the light itself may be glowing, but that aura that is cast is not glowing. So, it's really hard to see on some abilities, but it is there. You can also toggle non-lethal attacks, so knocking them unconscious as opposed to killing them. can actually be useful for certain things, especially if you want to like talk to somebody, you don't want to kill somebody. It has its uses. But yeah, so toggling passives, and there's a lot of them you can toggle. You just have to kind of keep an eye out for weapons that do certain things that has like a passive ability. And always just go into your inventory, go to your spell book, and kind of look through and see if anything's listed. Like, see here, it's under here, under passives. It will tell you it's a passive. So you can go in there and pull those down to your bar, to your UI, and use it from there. That way you don't have to keep going in and out of that. But just a little quick quality of life tip there. Tip number 8 is another one about toggling. So when you go in, a lot of people know that if you go into your spell book, you can go to reactions, and you have the ability to toggle stuff on and off to ask you before it does things. You can also do more than that. So you see how these are darkened out? It means they're never going to be used. It doesn't matter. If I get hit, Hellish Rebuke will never pop up. It'll never react. And the reason for that is you can only have one reaction damage type available to a character. So Hellish Rebuke's actually a terrible choice for this character because it's a paladin. But it's a paladin cleric. Paladin's great for, but for cleric, I have Destructive Wrath, for Storm, Thunder, and Lightning. Whenever I get damaged, it's going to ask me if I want to do those or if I want to do Hellish Rebuke. And I think I turned it off because it was giving me the option for Hellish Rebuke and not giving me the option for these. And I was like, that's not what I want. I want to use Thunder or Lightning because, well, that's what I want. So what you do is you actually select this button here. It turns off that reaction completely. So now when I get hit, it doesn't even give me the option to do Hellish Rebuke. It only gives me the option for these two. But you can go one further. So let's say you don't ever want it to do the lightning. Done. It'll always give you the option for thunder. You don't have to choose between the two of them. Not really as useful, but there's some circumstances where if that's what you want your character to do, that's what you'll do. And it works for all of your characters. You can go to your reactions.
At least things have stayed interesting.
You go to your reactions. I don't ever want to just Divine Smite the first Divine Smite on a crit. I just want to turn that off. So it'll only give me option for Divine Smite 2. That way I don't have to pick it. You know, I don't want it to ever do Charm. I'm tired of seeing Charm pop up. Because it, you know, I don't want it to trigger. So, and it'll tell you on there. See, it doesn't say here anything, but if I click there, and then go back, it says will not trigger. I've actually turned that trigger off. Really useful. Most people don't think about it, but it comes in handy for when you have multiple types of reactions, and the game's constantly saying, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to... It destroys immersion. Honestly, it's really aggravating to have to constantly be clicking back and forth. You can turn off the Divine Smite.
All's well that ends
On here.
not as bad as it could have.
So you can turn off the Divine Smite on critical hit so that you always have to select it before you go and hit. If you want to do that. I like having it on there because if I crit, I want it to crit. But you can completely turn it off and always use it from the bar instead, and that way you're, you know, selecting Divine Smite and not having to see if it reacts. But just a simple little thing, but that's number 8. So on to the next one. So the last battle tip, number 9, it's something that's been said in quite a few videos, but I want to reiterate it here because it's very, very useful. It's something a lot of people don't think about when they come across battles. Don't waste your turns casting buffs. Especially on Tactician. In Balance, it's not as bad, though this can make your Balance playthrough a lot easier. But in Balanced, you know, wasting a turn is not as big a deal because the enemies don't have as much health. But in Tactician, it's very, very useful to always prepare before a battle starts. So if you're coming up to a battle, you know a battle's about to happen, or you have the slightest inkling that a battle's about to happen, hit turn-based mode. Then, let's say you know you're going to need Bless. Go ahead and cast it. Now you see how it's not going anywhere. Well, You can go on ahead and end the turn, go to your next person. You can set up, attack that enemy, initiate combat, and now Bless is still good for 10 turns. You haven't wasted an action. You're going to get a standard initiative roll just like everything else. You're probably going to get a surprised round if you've done it right. So you're not wasting that Bless. Because if you're not in turn-based mode, and you look over here, see how that's just ticking down? That 9 now. It's going to be at 8 in a second. See, it just ticks its way down while you're sitting here in non-turn-based mode. And that's going to waste any turns you had on that. If you enter turn-based mode and cast it and then start the battle, you're saving yourself. You're saving as much of those turns as you can, and you're preparing for battle without wasting any turns not doing damage. That goes for any
Still
of your
alive.
buff spells. Like, you've got like Leap and Featherfall and things of that nature. All of those are the same. They last for 10 turns. It'll save that for when you're in battle and you can actually use it so you can get to places the enemy can't get to. Really good for if you know you're going to be pigeonholed into fighting in a specific area. Knowing that you can cast that, then go into the battle, and then move and get your guys out. Especially if you've got Lawn Strider going, so you know you've got plenty of movement. You've got Leap going. You're going to be able to jump really far, get to those high places, and set up your casters, set up your rogue, set up any of your distance damage dealers, and it'll allow you to control the battlefield a lot better. Now, along with that, and this is just a little side note to that, just remember damage doesn't always come first, okay? Control spells, setting up battles. One of the things that I didn't do for a long time, I didn't realize how useful it was. Minor illusion. It's just a little cat, but you would be amazed at how useful this cat is at confusing your enemies. Like, let's say you're going into a battle, you know a battle's coming. Your guys aren't going to be stealthy. You've got people in heavy armor. None of them have high dex. Well, you're not going to need stealth. Throw Minor Illusion down in one corner of the battlefield. Almost every enemy is going to turn and look at it. And that allows you to get sneak attacks, surprise attacks on everybody. Gives you a chance to actually put yourself in position. You got to be quick, because once they investigate it, if they get the roll, then it goes away. They see it as an illusion and they turn back. But those vital few seconds to set up and be ready really can change the tide of battle. So just keep that in mind. Minor illusion, control spells to start a battle are amazing. I can't tell you the number of times I've put an enemy to sleep at the very start of battle. One of the higher end enemies that I know was like going to do damage, just put him to sleep. I know you got to upcast it, but that's a whole different thing. Put him to sleep. All of my guys pounded away and got him down. The other enemies didn't even know he was there, or didn't know he died. And I was able to start off the battle with one less person. Hold person on the main guy. Done. I mean, I hit hold person. Main guy was stopped. Every hit against him became critical. I one-turned the boss. It controls the battle so well. And you start off the battle in a position of power. And that's how you win battles in this game. So, just a little side note on that one tip. Okay, tip number 10 is a simple tip, but I'm amazed at how long it took me to figure this out. And I haven't seen this tip anywhere. I mean, I figure most of you probably know this one. But honestly, it's so cool.
Never wanted the easy part.
So, yeah, you can just click and you go on ahead, and then you can turn, and you can rotate the map, and you can roll around this way. Well, let's say, I'm at a dead end. Okay, now let me turn around. Well, I can click here, and then I can go this way. And then I can click way over here. And they will follow that path all the way around and go to that spot. But even more than that, let's say you're wanting to go, and you have to be careful, because you can get yourself in battles this way, but you go out here and you can traverse. Well, once you get to a certain point, you can't really go any further, but I can click on here. And you see the camera starts to move. It's because you can only go so far away from your actual team before the camera stops. But as long as you're clicking, it allows you to keep going. You can keep clicking farther and farther ahead. And if you're just traversing places you've already been, or kind of going through an area that you've already dealt with, and you're just trying to get your party members through into a specific place that doesn't have a waypoint nearby, this is just the easiest way to do it. Because I know where I'm going. I want to click up here. I want to get back up here and deal with this area. You know, so I can just click up here. There's no enemies up here. Now, you're not going to see enemies this way. You can only see enemies in this game if you're close enough to see the enemy. So keep that in mind. You can't spot traps unless you're close enough to spot the traps. So if there was a trap here, well, you're going to have a hard time because you're going to come right across. See, I've got my guys right here because I wasn't paying attention. So there are caveats to using it. Like, you don't want to use it all the time, but for traversing through some of the areas you've been and you're just trying to get through the slog, or you're trying to like move ahead, like I know I want to take my guys and put them down here, well, you can do that. You can move it around. You know, you can go and like pick up stuff and say, oh, I want to pick up that chasm creeper. Click on that. You know, so it makes traversal a little bit easier in a game that's this massive and you don't move as fast. So it has its uses. Just keep that in mind. A lot of you may have used it. Honestly, it's something I use all the time. I probably shouldn't. In Tactician, I don't use it as much, but like in balanced gameplay like this, I'm not as worried. I just kind of move forward because I know where a lot of the battles are. It'll help you in your future playthroughs, help you get back to places you've already been. You just want to move and then click on it, and your guys will just walk through while you kind of look at other stuff or pay attention to like what's coming up ahead. Simple little tip, just kind of makes life easier. But that's my 10 tips. Some of them are combat related. Some of them are just kind of nifty things that help you with, you know, inventory control and management. And then the last one was just something that I found after like 50 hours of gameplay, and I was like, oh, cool. And I've never seen anybody else mention it. Probably everybody knows about it. It's one of those things that you probably figure that out the first time you realize you could WASD your way across the map. But I didn't. I constantly was like, okay, let me click on the character portrait, go back to the character, and then clicked into where I needed to go. And then I'd be like, okay, I need to traverse up here, I need to turn, I gotta go down here. Okay, so let me go back to my character and then click on here and go back. And I kind of figured I could do this, like I was messing with this, but I never got too far ahead of my character. I didn't realize that I could go all the way out here and click, and then as the camera was allowing me to go further, I could click out here and go farther. I didn't realize that. It took me a while. So just something I wanted to throw out there. I hope these tips really helped out. I know these are things that have really helped me in my playthroughs. And it's just cool stuff that I found that a lot of these I haven't seen on any other sites or any other YouTube videos. I thought it'd be a really cool thing to do to kind of help other players. So if you like the video, if you found out something that you didn't know, definitely comment down below and let me know. If any of these tips you hadn't seen before or you didn't know about, if you've got other tips, definitely let me know. Put them in the comments, and I will make a video on YouTube comments. Any comments I get, any tips, I'll vet them, I'll verify them, and I'll put them in a video. But for now, thank you all so much for joining me. Definitely like, comment, subscribe down below, like I said. And I will see you next time in, I don't know, it'll probably be Baldur's Gate. I'm not even going to lie. I put 100 hours in this game. I've got like 7 characters who are all sitting in Act 1. I'm not going to be done playing this game for quite some time. So I'll see you then. Until then, take care.